Waterproof boots are vital for keeping your feet dry and comfortable in wet conditions, whether you're hiking, hunting, or working outdoors in the rain. Today I have a pair of long-range waterproof boots from Rocky, and we're gonna see how these hold up in wet conditions while working for an extended test review. Let's get into it.
I'm just here to connect ya, and then I'll be on my way.
I haven't done a video on Rocky boots up until this point. I have done videos on their other brands like Durango and Georgia Boot, and this does look very similar to a Durango boot, but my buddy Moses Miller told me about these boots that he got, and I realized that I hadn't done a video on Rocky yet, so I picked up my own pair, and I definitely like the mossy oak look here, and I want to see, just the ins and out of the brand. They look very similar to Durango. It looks like they're very similarly built, but there might be a few discrepancies here and there that we gotta find out for ourselves. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the details of this boot in a rundown. Then I'm going to work around in these boots. Hopefully we can find some wet weather to test the waterproof. And then I'm gonna close things out with my final thoughts. So let's start out with the rundown. All right, this is the Rocky Long Range Waterproof Western boot, and it features a full grain SPR leather on the foot and the counter. Now what that means to Rocky is that it's tanned 3 ways to make it more resistant to chemicals and barnyard acids. And they do say that even though it is tanned differently from other leathers apparently, that you can treat this exactly like any other smooth leather and condition it the same as other boots. The color of this long range boot from Rocky is mossy oak bottomland. It also features a square toe with a double stitch welt. Now on the website it says that this is a Goodyear welt, but it's a plastic welt, so the chances of you getting a resole on this boot is pretty much 0. They also say that this boot has a 1-year waterproof guarantee, so I'm expecting that you'll probably lose waterproofing on this boot before you need a resole anyways. It comes in at 11 inches tall, and it features a 900D thickness Cordura fabric top with the mossy oak design. We also have an expansion fit seam here in the top, which is supposed to allow your foot to have a better in and out, but every time I see something like this, it's always a gimmick. You really don't need them, although I will be happily proven wrong if it makes that big of a difference. I doubt it will though. We have a 1-inch heel down here and a rubber outsole. On the inside we have a cloth lining with a waterproof layer between the outside and the lining of this boot. And we also have a foam insole that's removable as well. These boots are made in China and prices differ, but you can pretty much find them between $100 and $200 at Amazon.com. Now, let's get out in the world and see how these boots hold up in an extended test.
The Rocky boots are pretty tough to get into because the instep is so low and tight. The expansion fit seam did stretch a little, but the rest of the fit was so roomy. The fit of these boots is completely dependent on the instep, which is not a good thing, but we'll talk more about that later. We are getting a little bit of rain for this extended test, which is a good thing for testing out the waterproofing of these boots, and they look fine with these redhead jeans, not that it really matters for a work boot. Today I'm teaming up with Todd, who is the owner of Atlas Bowling in Trumansburg, New York. He has a bunch of old bowling alley equipment in a trailer on a farm, and he has to get rid of it, so we'll have to load it up and make a trip to the scrapyard and another trip to the dump. First, we load up the metal equipment for the scrapyard. A lot of this old bowling alley machinery is very awkwardly shaped and heavy, but it's fun to see what some of the machines look like. The most awkward and heavy piece was the piece that places the bowling pins. It looks like a rocket or something, and it was so heavy. Definitely got to work out trying to lift this thing around, and our cameraman even fainted at the sight of this thing. Don't worry, we checked on Mr. Tripod and he was just fine as we loaded up the rest of the awkwardly shaped bowling alley machinery. Then it was off to the scrapyard to get rid of all of our metal pieces. They got our initial weight so we knew how much we were dropping off, and then we got to work unloading. Unloading scrap is always faster than loading it up, which is nice because you can just throw it on a big pile of other scrap. And at times, it felt like we were dropping off pieces of Iron Man's Hulkbuster suit and not bowling alley pieces. Finally, the last piece was the huge pin placer, I don't know what else to call it, and when we had it safely on the pile, it was time to head back and load up again for a dump run. This time we were loading up mainly wood and plastic pieces for the dump, and the sun started to come out, which was nice, but it didn't help my waterproofing test any. There were lots more awkwardly shaped pieces for bowling ball return, and one of the ramps was so long we had to turn it at an angle to get it in. Once the truck was full, we were off to the dump. When we got there, they just told us to add it to a pile that was already started, so we started throwing heavy bowling alley equipment onto other garbage, which is oddly satisfying. As long as you don't almost get crushed by it. With all the equipment cleared, it was mission accomplished in these rocky boots. Thanks so much to Todd for allowing me to record that adventure. If you're ever in Tompkins County in the Finger Lakes region of New York State, be sure to visit Atlas Bowl. They got some awesome bowling, great food, and really good bartenders too. A lot is changing here on YouTube and is forcing me to make some tough decisions, but if you like the content that I create, you can always support me at my website, jeremiahcraig.com. You may have noticed some cool shirts in this video, like at the beginning, the Old Boots Got Soul shirt, the Old Boots Got Soul hoodie in the extended test, and I got this Step Strong shirt, as well as a ton of other merch over at my website or at the product links below. And if you are interested in supporting me that way, it goes a long ways if you guys order some merch. So thank you so much for your support. Now on to my final thoughts for this Rocky long range waterproof boot. I didn't get to test out the waterproofing as much as I hoped during the extended test. It did rain, but really not that much. So I wanted to test out the waterproofing a little bit more. So I took these boots fishing and just stood in Cayuga Lake for a while, and they most certainly are waterproof. That said, this boot does have other issues that caused me to be very frustrated with them every time I had to wear them. I bought these boots for this video, and they made me physically angry to wear. I'm glad I got the experience to try them and share my thoughts here, but if I was to get these boots and have to work in them every day, I would become so frustrated that I would just toss them and try to find a better pair overall. It was that frustrating because most of the time I couldn't even get them on. It took everything that I had to put these boots on, and oftentimes I would just give up and try to wear something else. And before you guys say, well, they're too small, Jeremiah, these are exactly the same size that I would get for any other pair of boots that don't have narrow width sizes. The problem is the instep is extremely low, and this is a problem among other brands too, because that's the only place they fit. I would put these boots on after I got past this instep and it would be loose everywhere else. Like, it doesn't fit snug around the widest part of the foot. It doesn't fit well at the arch. The only place where these cheap wide square toe boots fit is at the instep, and that's a problem across the board in a lot of these cheap brands, and that's why I'm so frustrated. I don't have an unusually high instep or anything. This is not a problem that I have when boots are priced at $300 or above, only lower than that because this boot is focused on only the instep, and like I said, it's not like I got too small of a size because it's loose everywhere else. It's so frustrating. The expansion seam is a gimmick. It hardly worked in the first place, but even still, it's unnecessary if a boot is designed to fit. Rocky's other brands like Georgia Boot does this. Even Ariat Boots does this with their Work Hog boot. They have it in the back though. They have a little elastic back here, and that's honestly a better place for it, but still it's unnecessary at all if you design boots to just fit well in the first place. So this is just a problem that's been plaguing the industry for a very long time now, ever since the wide square toe became popular. This lazy wide square toe boot construction, where the only fit is at the instep and not at the widest part of the foot or at the arch, has got to stop. I experience it so much, and it's driving me nuts. And that's why I get angry when I try boots that are like this, because it is an obvious margin boosting, money grabbing play by these awful corporations. Just design a boot that fits in the first place, like it's supposed to. Sure, it needs to be snug at the instep, but it also needs to be snug at the widest part of the foot and at the arch. If you aren't designing a boot like that, then don't release the boot. Why would you put people through this? It's an awful, awful construction, and you're expecting people to just get used to it. Like, our expectations are so low right now, and they don't have to be. I've had great results for Red Wing in the past, so if I needed a pair of waterproof boots for work, I would seriously just save up an extra $100 and buy a pair of waterproof Red Wing boots. They're made in the USA, and they have more width sizes. Are these boots waterproof? Sure they are. China has owned the most popular waterproofing tech for a while now, and it seemed like for the longest time, if you wanted waterproof boots, you had to get them made in China. But that's changing now. We don't need to settle for lazy construction and fits that only fit at the instep. We deserve better fitting boots than just at the instep, because at the end of the day, your feet are going to be so sore if you only have a fit at the instep. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Have a good one.
Don't settle for a bad fit. Don't get fooled by the gimmicks. Support those with true grit. Don't settle for a bad fit. Thank you so much for watching today. Why don't you check out this other extended test boot review up here? Or I got a music video down here I think you might enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe up here, and I will see you next time. Peace. Have a good one.